Okay, so you remember where we started last week? We start what the Rambam said, that number one, we say how much a person should eat. You remember? What's the quantity? We got to achievement that the person should eat. Number one, when he's hungry. Number two, he should eat 3/4 of what the quantity of the stomach actually can take. And we explain why. Then we go on also to explain that when a person eats, we explain that he should sit, should not do any walking or any other exercise after that. And also we explain that how many hours a person should sleep. We got to the conclusion that the Rambam say that it's 1/3 of the day. That means 8 hours. You remember? Meish, you remember?
Yeah.
So Meish added up that the person actually sleep 1/3 of his life. Nachon?
That's right.
That's right. Okay. So remember that, because I want to go back to it, because there's a question that I want to ask you to see if we understand. And then we explain where the person should sleep. That means which position. We explain that in the first part of the night on which side the person should sleep. You remember? And then on the second part of the night, from midnight onward, which other side? That means on the first part of the night, the person should sleep on his left. Nachon? And the second part of the night, from midnight onwards, he can sleep on his right. Now, we explain one reason why. Why a person should sleep dafka. We have a medical doctor here. You're going to help us. Okay? And I want to go just 1 second back to the 8 hours. Why does a person have to sleep 8 hours? And I saw while I was preparing, I looked for another article that they've been publicized in the year 2000, if I'm not mistaken, that the main reason why is a person have to sleep for 8 hours. What does it do to a human being? So we have a doctor here. You don't need a doctor. The doctor doesn't want to have his opinion. We have another doctor. What do you say, Dr. Mezabo?
What's the question?
The 8 hours. Why is it so important that we should have 8 hours sleep a night?
It's not so much rest for the body, it's rest for the brain.
Okay, rest for the brain.
Not so much resting, but processing.
The processing. Develop that issue, because that's where it comes.
It's to do with giving the brain an opportunity to absorb everything that is acquired during the day. It gets absorbed.
So what you say, it's like a computer. Let's just put
Correct.
it together. That we have a computer and we load a lot of information.
Now you've got to absorb it.
Now you have to reprocess it,
That's it.
to put it. Okay, that's according to you. Okay,
That's correct.
Ma, what do you say?
It regenerates our body, but our brain overheats. So when we sleep, the body temperature drops a little bit, and it gives your brain a chance to regenerate and to process.
Okay, so that's basically okay. Any other opinion?
There's also the issue that if you sleep on your left side, you'll...
Wait, we'll get to it. Let's
Okay.
first sleep with. Well, let's concentrate on 8 hours.
All right.
Yes, Joe.
When we talk about 8 hours, I would assume that is maximum.
Yes. We explained last week, Rabota. I don't know if any one of you remember. You remember what was the minimum that the person should sleep? 6 hours. That's it. And maximum is 8 hours.
Because in these times, how many people can sleep 8 hours?
The kids sleep.
Go to bed 10 o'clock.
The kids sleep.
Yeah, you wake up at 6, 8, exactly 8 hours. Exactly 8 hours. But who said that you have to go to sleep at 10 o'clock? If you phone Mr. Demlin, ask him, if you phone after 9 o'clock, he's sleeping. And that's personal experience. 9 o'clock, the latest happens 9. Am I right, Tony? Tony is already sleeping, and nothing wrong with that. Today we actually
I
check.
don't answer the phone after 9 o'clock. I think if somebody phones you after 9 o'clock, it's disgusting. They weren't phoning, they were phoning before 9 o'clock.
I agree.
9 o'clock, and they feel like that. Good, so there it is. I don't go to sleep maybe at 9 o'clock or whatever. But that's my honest opinion. What times you phone. You phone up to 9 o'clock. Unless there's an emergency, then you can phone after 9 o'clock. That's what you do with a phone.
Okay.
But if you don't sleep, if you don't rest, you're going to automatically fall asleep.
Not
You're going to
necessarily.
get tired and you're going to fall asleep. It's how
The body needs.
Overtired.
A person cannot sleep more than 24 hours. It's just not.
But you have to sleep.
More than that, it's unhuman. Okay,
Unless he's
okay. You know what? Maybe 24 hours. But if
Unless
you go,
he's ill.
you know, we're not talking. We're talking about healthy people.
Yeah.
That they have to go and sleep. You know, they're normal. They eat normal. You know, there's many people. I spoke to a guy 4 months ago, and he said to me, you know, I can't sleep on a bed. I said, why? He said, I can't sleep on a bed. He's overweight. He can't sleep on a bed. I'm sure for medical explanation you can explain that. But the point is, it's not just that he can't sleep, he can't breathe. Doctor? But the point is, we're not talking about sick people. We're talking about normal people, that they're healthy, that they can sleep normally in a bed. Why 8 hours? So the research that's been done, it's done, if I'm not mistaken, in Germany. It's been publicized. And then they've done the same thing almost the same thing. They explain that if you sleep for 8 hours, that medical research prove that the person that sleeps 8 hours, his memory is much better.
Your brain
You have a better memory than people that sleep less than 8 hours. Can you believe it?
I've also read they say that your lifespan increases substantially as well.
Well, it can go the other way too.
That's right.
Because if you train yourself to sleep less time, you actually, as I told you before, wake up time longer.
But
But
the life,
whether you're healthy or not, it's not the issue.
but the
Some people can
lifespan
do it.
here that Brian talking, correct me if I'm mistaken, that research showed, because I think that we read the same one, that it said that when you sleep enough, what sleep? The body sleep, or the neshama sleep. So we got to the conclusion and we proved that the neshama sleep. And we brought the analogy with a battery of a cell phone. You remember we spoke about it. Now, quite often people come after a hard day of work, they sit on a sofa, fall asleep for a few minutes, they have a small shlof. After 10, 15 minutes, they wake up again, they're fully energized, until 9, 10 o'clock that they go back to sleep. So what really happened? Is the body rest? But it never rests, because the body can work. If your brain and your neshama can take that, you can't stop. And when you're tired, you're focusing on a subject, you lose a lot of concentration. Your focus drops down tremendously. Why? Because the neshama need that kind of a boost to recharge. So how do we recharge it? By sleeping. So one other opinion, that's what I wanted to share with you, that the people that sleep 8 hours, they have a better memory.
That's the fact.
That's what they've been proved. Then we spoke about what you wanted to raise.
There are two things. First of all, when you sleep on your left side, the blood pressure is lowered in the body. The heart doesn't have to do as much work to get the blood through the system. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you go into the different levels of sleep, and our psychologists and psychiatrists and all those people know about the different levels of sleep. The brain is very active, but you're not aware. It's absorbing and processing everything that happened during the day. Not only the thing, but it's your connection with the spiritual world, which I don't want to go into.
So now I'm going to bring a proof to it from Hazal. Hazal tell us in the Gemara that they brought a story about different level of sleep. And whatever happened to you during the day, you actually process during the night. Not only that you start dreaming about it.
No.
Not all our dream we remember. You have to
We have a lot
understand.
of dreams.
We're dreaming. There's many people that don't even realize when they wake up that they dream. Do you know that?
Yeah.
So, if you, Hazal tell us that if during the day you thought about something or you saw something that was really bothering you and you dreamt about it at night, you should not worry. I'm going to make a show about dream, Be'ezrat Hashem, to explain what is a dream according to Hazal and according to the medical research that they've done today and try to bring them together. But let's continue where we stopped. We stopped. Now we're going to speak what a person should eat and which part of the year a person should eat. So listen to Divrei Rambam, what we should eat. He said like this, Varim meshalshelim et bnei ha'ma'ayin, that means the thing that causes the stomach to work easily. What it means easily? Not that you have a running tummy, but it's not hard. Between the outcoming, it's very, very easy, normal. Okay? What did he say? Kegon anavim. Anavim is grapes. Te'enim is dates. Tutim is strawberries. Or any one of the family of the strawberries. That means the berries and all of that. Okay? Agasim. Avatihim. Agas is a pear. Avatiah is a watermelon. Umine kishuim. Different kind of what we call it today, baby mirrors. And mine melafefonot. What it means melafefonot? That's the cucumber. Okay? Ochel otam ha'adam betchilat ha'achila. A person should eat that at the beginning of the meal. Why? I mean, if we look, we usually have the fruit salad by the end of the meal. So who's wrong? Obviously us, not the Rambam. The Rambam can't be wrong. Why? You ask yourself why he say that. And listen what he said. We didn't finish it. V'lo ya'arveva mimamazon. You should not mix those kind of a food with your main meal. So that means that you have to eat it first. Fruit and vegetables that he mentioned, we should eat it before. And then listen. Ela shohe me'at. A person should wait a bit. At shiyitz'u mibeten ha'elyon ve'ochel mezonot. That means that you should, after you eat that food, those kind of vegetables or those kind of a fruit that we mentioned, until they move from the top part of the stomach, beten ha'elyon. On the stomach, we have a top part of the button of the stomach. We have to allow to digest that, and then you can start eating your main meal. That's what the Rambam say. Why? You ask yourself. Why?
I think there's something to do with the chemicals in the fruit.
Chemical.
In the fruit.
Okay.
It may be the acid base.
Okay, the acid base.
For the digestion.
Okay. Okay. I agree with you. But the Rambam says something very interesting. That those kind of food that we're talking, they have inside them what we call a little bit of acidic. And that acidic, not just for the reason of the digestion, it's helped the stomach now to get ready for the heavy food that you're going to eat. You understand? Yeah. It will help it obviously to digest later on, but at the beginning, it's like basically what you're doing, like you're creating the stomach to be ready for the main meal.
So we're basically doing it wrong, man. We're basically eating wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong way around.
Yeah. And then he carry on, what we should not eat. V'dvarim ha'me'amtzim et bnei ha'me'ayin. That means the thing that can cause you constipated. And he give example for it. Rimonim, pomegranate. Everyone know what is pomegranate.
Yeah.
Prishim, tapuchim is apple. Rostolim, ochel otam techef limzono. That means that the person that eat those food immediately with the main meal. V'lo yarbe le'echol me'em. Not only that, you're not allowed to eat them before, you also don't allow to eat a lot of them. And when you eat them with your main meal. Why? Because then the stomach is on a full accelerating of trying to digest the food that you have. That will help those kind of fruit to get also digested with the acid that you have inside the stomach. Let's move on. Now, if you have 3 different kind of meal, chicken, red meat, okay, which one of them you should eat, or if you want to eat what we call a vegetarian, which one of them you should eat? Let's see what he said. כשירצה אדם לאכול בשר עוף, when a person wanted to eat a meat of a chicken meat, ובשר בהמה כאחד, he wanted to have in the same meal. A person go to a wedding or go to whatever the case is, there is a simcha, there is on a buffet chicken and meat, red meat and white meat, what we call it. The white meat that I'm talking, Has v'Shalom, it's not what the main use, I'm referring to chicken. Which one of them you should eat? So let's listen what the Rambam says. Ochel bitchila basar of. A person should start eating his main meal, the chicken. After that, he moved to eggs. To eggs. Why eggs? Then he said, listen what he said. V'basar of ochel betchila. So what did he tell us? That if we have a red meat and a chicken meat, we eat the chicken first. But if we have eggs, eggs come first. Now, in the eggs, did you ever take notice that there is 2 colors, the white and the yellow? Why there is white and yellow? Did you ask yourself? Anyone know? Medically. I'm talking now only medically. Why there is a yellow inside and there is an outside white? Protein. Okay.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Must be a reason. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wouldn't create something like
The
that.
white actually protects the yolk,
Yeah.
because the yolk is where the
Okay, but you eat them. I'm asking
Yeah,
why,
no, but I'm
from
just
medical point of view, why do I have to eat yellow and white? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu make an egg yellow and white? Now, if you look at other food, they have only one color, usually. נכון? Cucumber, it's green. Watermelon is red. You don't eat the green shell outside. Do you know what I'm saying? But here we have 2 different colors, and they're very important.
interesting.
That he explained like this. If you eat only the white, the outside part, what the kids usually love it, and they don't like the inside, it's very difficult to digest it. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that. Immediately he put the yellow, the yolk, what we call it, to help it to digest the egg. Because egg it's a very nice food to eat, very easy. But if you eat it separately, very difficult to digest. Now you understand why there's 2 colors.
What's the more difficult part?
The white.
I think the white. White much more difficult to digest, definitely.
Well, you see how the egg, when you fry egg, you see what gets.
Now also to give you another idea, why is the white more difficult? If you put the egg in a salad and the yellow touch with the sauce or with the juice that came out of the fresh salad, it's melt, נכון? It's become like powdery. The white stay the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? No. The yolk, after you make a hot boiled egg,
It is powder.
the yolk inside the yellow
It is
part, if you
powder.
put it, let's say, with a salad, with a fresh salad, if there is a juice on it, it's already become like crumbly, very easy to eat it. You understand what I'm saying, David? But the white part doesn't change its effect. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created white and yellow what? That the yellow will help to digest the
But
egg.
from a cholesterol point of view,
Okay.
it's different.
Okay. Now, 15 years ago, they brought a research that eggs have a lot of cholesterol. You remember? נכון? You remember that article? Then they wrote, I think a year or 2 later, that avocado have also a cholesterol. The latest research show that there is a certain amount of eggs you can eat a day. And also avu, because there is oil there. The oil is very important. Now, but they didn't, now the medical research said that this cholesterol that there is in the egg, what they was thinking that there is cholesterol, a matter of fact, it's not what they thought before. It's much less. Did you know that, Dave? Yeah. That research. Okay.
Sorry, but
Yes, I'm waiting.
there's one reason for that as well.
For what?
For the whole egg story about cholesterol.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's the way they feed the chickens now.
The way that they
That made a huge difference in how the egg comes out.
Okay, so did you?
It's manipulation.
Okay. Today they actually force them to eat by putting the light on 24 hours. You agree with me? Because you was a farmer. So then they have to produce, because they there for certain short time. They want eggs, and they see that there is light, so they think that it's day, and they start eating. They carry on. They don't stop. That's the main reason.
And what they
But
feed
the
them.
food that they feed the chicken today, it's basically cotton. It's a lot of cotton inside. Nachon? So it's not the proper food that they should
Not
eat.
so much maize anymore as in the old days.
I don't think that they get hardly
they get-
maize. They get very little amount of maize on it. It's more cotton inside. Cotton, yeah.
It's a
The
cotton.
seed,
It looks like
cotton seed.
It's a cotton seed.
They call it cotton oil crack.
Cotton oil crack, okay? So now we know also about the eggs. Let's move on. Now, we spoke about what's happening when a person wanted to eat meat and chicken. Nachon? What's happening with fish? Did you ask yourself about fish? Where is fish fitting?
I know they say you shouldn't eat fish and meat together. You can eat one after another.
No. But we're not talking about together. We're not allowed to eat meat and fish together, not because has v'shalom. How about I listen to it? Our sages tell us that you're not allowed to eat meat and fish together. You know why? Because has v'shalom, a person can get leprosy. That's what the Gemara said. Our sages explain Hazar. And the Maran Shulchan Aruch bring it as a halacha that if you eaten fish, after you finish to eat fish, if you know that your hand never touched it, there's no problem. You just move the cutleries and the plate, and you eat the meat later after that with the clean cutleries. But if you eaten the fish with your hand, it's called mayim emtsaim. That means middle water. We have mayim rishonim is netilat yadayim. Mayim emtsaim, that means if you eaten fish and you touched it by hand. And mayim achronim is after you finish the meal, you should do mayim achronim mishum melach sdomit, the Gemara says. But that's not belong to us. I don't want to get into it. Menachem wanted to understand. No, so I'll explain. What is mayim achronim?
What do you mean leprosy?
Proper tzarat. A person can get tzarat. It's not the tzarat that we spoke about it in Sefer Vayikra, what we learned during the Parshat HaShavua. It's not this kind, but it can bring a leprosy that there is all kind of disease that come from it.
But fish is...
That's the medical. So
fish
you're not
is-
allowed to eat fish.
That's the medieval view.
Yeah.
It's a modern.
But the Maran paskenet le'alacha, and there is no dispute about it. And today we don't eat meat and fish together.
Yeah, but fish is a very heavy alkaline. And that stops digestive processes. But anyway,
So now,
that's a different reason.
I'm speaking about the spiritual part of it, what I spoke to you about, okay? Now let's move one step ahead. We spoke about, if you already got into it, let's touch something else. Are you allowed to eat milk and fish together? Yes. 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 Everyone say yes?
No. I disagree.
We disagree, okay?
No, I know that some of the Hasidim danced.
Okay, we'll get to it.
No, I disagree.
But you're right. I'm not saying no, Philip. So we have disagree and not
Yeah,
agreeing.
yeah.
Baruch Hashem. The same like in everything in Judaism.
It's normal.
It's normal, it's good, it's good. It's good not to agree. Why? Because we're sharpening the mind. So I tell you. Let's start from the backwards. What Philip say? Philip say Hasidim. The Maran Shulchan Aruch say that even the Sfaradim not allowed to have milk and fish together. The Rama doesn't agree with him. The Rama say that you can eat milk and fish together. There's no problem. So from here we see mahlok. Now, some of the Hasidim adopt, but not all the Hasidim, you know that. Some Hasidim do eat milk and fish together. There's no problem. Not all. The main reason, again, because the Maran Shulchan Aruch explained, he said from health reason. He doesn't give it a lot of explanation. So now we saw the two different. Okay, but let's move on because we doesn't move on. Now, we're going to move what you should eat in winter and what we should eat in summer. What kind of a food? The Rambam explained. בימות החמה, in summer. אוכל מאכלים הקרים. It means food that cold the body. ולא ירבה בתבלין ואוכל את החומץ. That means that in summer you should eat food and don't put a lot of spices inside. Not only that, you should have a bit of vinegar. It's good to have vinegar. ובימות הגשמים, that means in a rainy season. Now in South Africa you can't compare it. Why? Because in South Africa, ימות הגשמים, that means the rainy season is actually summer. It's not winter. What the Rambam explained here, that winter and summer, we have to understand that. So we have to be careful. So the Rambam said, בימות הגשמים, אוכל מאכלים חמים. It means hot food, things that warm up the body. ומרבה בתבלין. What it means מרבה בתבלין? That you should put extra spices in your food. ואוכל מעט מן החרדל. And a person should eat a little bit hardal. Hardal is mustard. That's it. Should eat a little bit of mustard. ومن חלטית. חלטית, it's also kind of a spices. ועל דרך זה הולך ועושה במקומות הקרים ובמקומות החמים. בכל מקום ומקום הראוי לו. What he said now, the Rambam here explained that you don't look just about the rainy season, because sometimes the rainy season means that it's hot, it's summer in certain places. We're going according to cold and hot. So hot and cold. Now what causes the body hot things? For example, what warm up the body besides spices? What food that we should eat a lot
Red wine.
in winter, huh?
Red wine.
A red wine. Okay, it's good that you mentioned red wine. I'm going to get to the red wine soon. Soup, obviously. But what is hot food? What warm up the body?
Curries and spices.
Curry. You're talking about spices. He mentioned spices. Let me give you some fruit that you should eat. The dates, you know the dates you should eat during winter. Did you ever thought about it? Did you eat them dates? Eat dates, you see how your body gets warm. After 2-3 days, your body gets warm. You know the natural antibiotic. What is the natural antibiotic? Garlic. That's what you should eat. Now the Rambam explained how you should eat. We'll get to it, how you should eat just now when we're going to speak about the wine. How you should eat the garlic. How you should eat the garlic alive. Straight, fresh. Raw, or you should eat it cooked. Prepare it a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
see.
raw, it's strong.
Okay. Now, you're going to go what you should not eat. יש מאכלות שהם רעים. There is food that they're very bad for the body. עד מאוד, וראוי לו לאדם שלא לאכול, לא לאוכלם לעולם. That means that there is bad food that the person should not eat. Listen what he says. הדגים הגדולים, המלוחים הישנים. That means that there is big fish, salted big fish. Did you ever see those salted big fish? No. South Africa, it's not so popular. In the olden days,
Your herrings are full of
no,
salt.
no, herring is not old.
A lot
Listen
of
what he
salt.
says, haishanim. That means that they've been processed for a while in salt. And the big fish, herring, the size of a herring fish is not more than that, all right? They're very small. What he's talking about, in the olden days, they didn't have what we have, fridges, and we can keep things away. So how, when you used to eat, you used to shech the animal. And after the meal, you didn't finish all what's left. Or you didn't need so much of the meat. What do you do with it? You salt them, am I right?
Yeah.
What we call today biltong, am I right? Natural biltong. So according to the Rambam, the biltong is not healthy. What? David didn't like it.
That doesn't apply in South Africa.
David, I like that. What?
But what about silk is salty?
Okay, why? We'll explain why. David, don't get upset. We're not going to tell you not to eat. But let's carry on with the fish. So those fish that they used to put a lot of salt, because they used to preserve them. Now, if you want to preserve something, what's the best thing to preserve? Salt, נכון? Let's move on. והגבינה המלוכה הישנה. And the salty cheese, yeshana. What does it mean, yeshana? Old. What is old? How do you consider old?
So they talk about the
You
one that cheese
ferment
that
it.
used to take a long time
It's
to...
To
fermented.
process. How long does it take for a cheese to ferment, to process until it's become old
Well,
cheese? Anyone have any idea? According to the Gemara,
About 6
Right.
months.
6 months. נכון. Today, it's very solvent. Even the yellow cheese that we're getting,
They make it in 72
I don't
hours.
think that those yellow cheese that we get today more than 3 days, 4 days.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, if we're
It
lucky.
takes 72 hours, less than 72 hours to make it, and then they usually mature it in a cold room for about 2 to 3 weeks, then it goes to the market. That's it.
So it's not really
6
fermented.
weeks.
It's not
But it's
natural
not fermented. Today what they do, they take a tablet,
And they put it in.
throw it in, the next morning you have a cheese. Did you listen to that?
It was actually
A tablet, that in 24 hours you have a cheese.
A good cheese takes months to ferment.
So the good cheese that you're talking about, the old cheese,
Yeah.
that's 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he said, והכמיהים והפטריות. Pטriyot is mushroom. Mushroom is not good to eat. Why? Why mushroom is not good? It's a fungus. You know that mushroom is a fungus.
It's poison.
There's a
A
lot
lot
of
of poison
yeah.
in mushroom.
And now we're going to get to what you mentioned, the biltong. והבשר המליח הישן. Here's the biltong. And the old salty meat.
So it's built.
It's not good. ויין מגיתו. יין מגיתו, that means it's a wine that didn't have enough time to ferment it. It didn't process enough. And you're drinking it. Those kind of a food, he say that you should not eat. But he carry on. והתבשיל ששעה עד שנדף ריחו. And a food that been stirred, and you smell, you can't smell the smell of that food. It's not healthy. וכן כל מאכל שריחו רע אומר. And then he add up any food that is have a bad smell or that is very bitter. You're not allowed to eat. It's not good. Listen what he says. והרי אלו לגוף כמו סם המוות. And that's like a poison that can cause a person to die.
It's quite common.
But what about olives?
Huh?
What about olives? Olives are bitter.
Olive. Okay. Olive.
There's some oil.
Our sages touch the olive. How much time we have? We have basically 2 minutes. Nachon? Plus minus. I'm going to conclude with olive, but we didn't finish the verse. Olive, our sages tell us that if you eat olive, it's not good for the memory. That's actually, if you eat a lot of olive, your memory become weak. But the olive oil
That's processed oil.
is the opposite. Do you understand? So now, why is that? You know, I was the other day at a customer, and I'll tell you who is it. Hilton, our friend Hilton Kaplan, his son-in-law, is from Israel. And he used to work at Stan and Pete. And I walked to his house, and I see that he have all different food, all different vegetables, that he put them in vinegar with salt and water. And he said to me, you know, it's take virtually 48 hours, and they start to get ready. They're fermenting. Everything starts getting ready. He said, in a week's time, you can eat them like nothing happened. They're tasty. That means that he pickled all of those vegetables, and it's take a week.
It's not natural.
He said, you just have to change the water all the time.
It's not natural.
So what does it mean? You want to eat pickled. Put them in water, salt, a little bit of vinegar, leave them, and they will do the process. That will do the process. Can you believe it? So now we can understand why the Rambam say what he said.